The distributive property. Really quick reminder that parentheses tell us when we need to multiply. So in this example, I have 6 parenthesis 3, which tells us to multiply 6 times 3, which of course is 18. We're going to use this same idea that parentheses mean to multiply to help us with the distributive property. When there is a variable in addition or subtraction inside of parentheses, we're going to have to distribute the number outside of the parentheses to everything inside the parentheses. Notice there's no sign or no addition or subtraction sign between the 5 and the parentheses, which tells us we need to go ahead and multiply these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take whatever is outside, which in this case is 5, and I'm going to multiply it by each term inside of the parentheses. In this case, inside of the parentheses, I have a 3x and I have a minus 2. So I'm going to distribute it to both of those things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 times 3x, which is 15x. And then I need to do 5 times a negative 2. Be careful, make sure you're keeping the sign. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10 or minus 10. So that's the distributive property. We take whatever is outside of the parentheses and we multiply it by each term inside of the parentheses. So let's try some in an equation. In this case, we have 2 in parentheses, 3x minus 4, close the parentheses, equals 16. Now be careful and make sure that you're only distributing or multiplying by 2 for the terms inside of the parentheses. Notice equals 16 is not inside of the parentheses, so I do not need to distribute the 2 to the 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 times 3x, which is 6x, and then I need to do 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8. What I do with the equals 16 is I just bring it down and leave it alone for the time being. Now what I need to do is I need to solve this two-step equation. The opposite of subtracting 8 is to add 8, so I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0, so they cancel out, and I'm left with 6x equals 24. Now what I need to do is I need to divide both sides by 6. And when I divide both sides by 6, my 6's cancel out, leaving me with x equals 24 divided by 6 is 4. In the next example, I have negative 3, parenthesis, 1x minus 12 equals negative 3. Again, I'm just going to distribute to the terms that are inside of the parentheses. This time I need to be really careful because I'm multiplying everything inside by a negative 3. Make sure that you're not forgetting your integer rules when you're using the distributive property. So a negative 3 times a positive 1x is negative 3x. A negative 3 times a negative 12 is a positive 36. And I'm going to bring down equals negative 3. I leave it alone because it is not inside of the parentheses. Now what I need to do is I need to solve this two-step equation again. First, get rid of addition or subtraction. Right now I'm adding 36 to the variable x. The opposite of adding 36 is to subtract 36. When I do that, I'm left with negative 3x equals negative 39. Now I need to divide both sides by negative 3. And when I do so, I'm left with a positive x equals positive 13. The last example for the distributive property that we're going to do, I have negative 6, parenthesis, 4 plus 3x equals negative 24. Again, I'm distributing the number in front, or the constant in front of my parentheses, which again happens to be a negative in this case. Make sure that you remember integer rules. So the first thing I need to do is negative 6 times a positive 4, which is negative 24. A negative 6 times a positive 3x is a negative 18x, and I'm going to bring down equals negative 24 because nothing is being done to it right now. Again, I have a two-step equation to solve. The first thing that I need to get rid of is the negative 24 on the left side. That's what's being added or subtracted to my variable x. The opposite of a negative 24 would be a positive 24, or add 24 to both sides. Notice in both of these cases, I have negative 24 plus 24, which is 0. So what I'm left with is negative 18x equals 0. I'm multiplying negative 18 times x right now. The opposite of multiplying by negative 18 is to divide both sides by negative 18. And when I do so, I'm left with x equals 0.